over 360,000 people left California in what many are calling the California Exodus, leaving for states like Texas, Arizona, and Washington. But a rising
What happened?
I'm gonna leave California too.
एक काम कर, खोल लॉक कर, पहन फिर लॉक कर, फोन रख लिया पर पुल्ली ना हो द चार्जर, और एक बैग तैयार करना. So दोस्तों, as an Indian, it was always my dream to be in California, to be in tech, to be a software engineer in Silicon Valley, and also to be a millionaire, just like more than 9% of California's population who are millionaires, which is highest in the US. And in fact, California is pro-immigrant and highest number of immigrants are in California as well. If you look at the numbers, more than 27% of California's population is of immigrants. In the last 10 years, more than 50% of the immigrants are from India or other Asian countries. And around 25% of the immigrants are undocumented, just like the US-Mexico border video I showed you. And around 1/3 of immigrants are also Latin Americans. So California, no doubt, is very diverse. It has one of the richest people. So what are the problems in California that more than 500,000 people on an average are leaving it? Let's talk about it in depth. So if you look at this data from April 2020 to July 2022, so around 3 to 4 months, 508,000 people left California, and it became the second highest number of exodus, like people leaving their own state in the US and going to different state. So ये काफी बड़ा number है. And as we went into 2021 and 2022, the number increased by 20%. So around 700,000 people are leaving California in the last 1 to 2 years, which is more than New York as well. But if you look at the birth rate in California versus New York, no one wants to have children in New York because it is not car friendly. If you have emergency, you cannot own a car, parking expensive. World's most expensive parking is in New York City. So that's why birth rate and death rate difference is more in California as compared to New York. So the percentage changes even more in California. So that means even if you include this 200,000 people who were born and which increased the population, still more people are leaving California as compared to New York, which is a big deal for California. So if people are leaving California, then where are they going? They are actually going to the next most popular states in America, which are Texas and Florida. If you look at population increase for Florida and Texas, which is almost 1 million people, which is a big number because Texas and Florida are already most populated, one of the most populated states in America, and they are suddenly seeing more people than ever. So what are the reasons people are leaving California? Number one, the poverty rate. Because you might be thinking California is one of the richest state of America, you will become millionaire. 9% of the population is of millionaire. 1 in 11,000 people could be even a billionaire if you are walking in Silicon Valley. So, these big numbers make Silicon Valley, California very exciting. But the reality is it has one of the highest poverty rate as well. California as a state has 17% poverty rate, and the gap between rich and poor is one of the biggest as well, because the richest people are there and the poorest people are in California as well. Homeless population, if you have seen my video in Los Angeles and San Francisco, you may have seen that homeless people have exponentially grown in the last 2 years, which have increased in crime rate and which is stopping some small businesses to run properly. So for example, if you look at all the streets in downtown of San Francisco or some streets of Los Angeles, where there has been a substantial increase in homeless population, वहाँ पर businesses easily अब run नहीं हो पा रहे. Those shops have to permanently close and they couldn't continue doing their business. And this is the stark reality जो कोई बात नहीं करता. And in fact, अगर आप crime rate भी देखो, if you're looking at poverty rate, you should take a look at crime rate, because crime rate is also one of the highest in California, around 300 murders per 100,000 people. No doubt it is less than other cities like Detroit and Baltimore. वहाँ पे it's even like 3,000 violent crimes per 100,000 people. But still in California, even after the most strict gun laws, if you want to take a look at gun laws, people are actually against those gun laws in California, क्योंकि in US, it is in US Second Amendment, इनकी Constitution में लिखा हुआ है that you as a citizen or you as a resident in America have right to carry a gun because for your protection. पर ये laws are difficult in California. अगर आप कुछ gun laws देखो, so in California you have to be at least 21 years old and आपको background check, you have to clear that check. But reality is in some states like Texas, Georgia, you can just go to Walmart and pick a gun in some cases. It is as easy as that, and that's one of the biggest reason of mass shootings. But still, you might be shocked, even after these strict gun laws, the rate of mass shooting is highest in California. So when I was walking on the streets of Los Angeles, San Francisco, I was actually scared being alone even in daylight. ऐसा मुझे बाकी जगह पे ऐसा feel नहीं हुआ जैसा like the kind of fear I had in my heart in the streets of Los Angeles was bigger than anywhere I've ever felt. Number 2, remote jobs. So since 2020, remote jobs have seen one of the significant increase in the last 2 years, and I also can work remote. I can, go to California, Puerto Rico, Latin America. I can work from anywhere I want to because I am a remote software engineer too. So for that reason, people are given flexibility to go anywhere they want to. And for that reason also, people in California think that since if they are making good amount of money, it is a good idea to live with their parents. They can, live in their parents' house and save on rent. And they can also buy houses easily. So number 3 point is housing expenses, because California has the most expensive houses in America. Median cost is around $800,000 for a family of 2, which is really, really expensive. I was looking at houses in Atlanta. You can buy in $800,000 a family of 5, 6 or 7. So there's a huge difference in housing market in California and Atlanta. If you are a single person, for an average one person in San Francisco, you might be paying $4,000. You can check out this video for that $4,000 apartment tour. But yeah, that's the reality. $4,000 for one person you might be paying, and which is so expensive. Rents are so high that it is even hard to survive at a salary of $100,000, जो काफी software engineers का dream है. So if you want to look at the data according to MIT's wage calculator, if you want to survive in San Francisco, you have to save at least $92,000 if you have a family with 2 children, and which is actually impossible even with a salary of $117,000, which is around 1 crore rupees, because you will be saving less than $92,000. So paying, health insurance, paying household bills for your children. So it becomes not an ideal state to have children, to, grow with your kids. So California becomes very expensive to have kids and to live with the family. So that's why people think the amount of money they had saved by living in California, they can invest by buying a house in Texas, Florida, because over there market is getting really big and they are great states with potential housing growth. Currently, Austin has become Silicon Hills because many companies, for example, Elon Musk has tweeted he has his factory for Tesla there. So Austin or Texas has one of the significant growth. So housing market is increasing there, and many people think investing in buying a house in Texas, Florida. Florida is one of the highest tourism state because majority of the revenue that Florida makes is through tourism. So people think, if they go to Florida and if they buy a house and give it for Airbnb, that is a big business opportunity. So cost of living becomes a big thing in California, especially for families, and that's why they feel like moving. But halaki for singles, for example, if I am single and if I want to, live in an apartment, I still will be saving more money in my bank account if I stay there and I don't buy a house as compared to anywhere else in the United States. So if you're single, it is still worth it to live in California and to save up. Now, number 4, political reasons and Americans' attitude towards immigration. So in terms of political reason, if you want to think about it, the majority of the reason is in gun laws and how California is doing things differently as compared to rest of America. So if you look at gun laws, as I told you, it is around 3 to 4 times more difficult for you to have a gun and to buy a gun in California as compared to Texas or even Georgia. कहीं पे भी चले जाओ, California becomes the most difficult gun law state, and it is against its own constitution. Federal government and the state government, they are contradictory in that case because it is constitutional right for Americans according to Second Amendment, but California in some cases is against it. For example, California is banning the sale of assault weapons, large capacity magazine, short-barreled rifles, and shotguns. And California requires all the guns to be in a closed container as compared to anywhere else. People can just drop in their backpack, but it is difficult in California. So accidental shootings can be rare in California, but it's still contradictory because mass shootings still highest in California. But according to the data, because of the strict gun laws, crime rate has definitely decreased. And next political issue is about immigration, because a lot of Americans think that their tax income is going towards pro-immigration idea. Because if you think about California, it is pro-immigrant state, as I already told you. The reality is California is very contradictory in healthcare as well. So if you are under the age of 26 or if you are older the age of 50s, you have right to affordable healthcare in California if you are undocumented or if you are poor. And it is becoming even more accessible if you are making less than $36,000 starting in 2024. So yeah, healthcare is becoming more accessible. If you want to get your teeth cleaned, it is easier if you are poor in California as compared to the rest of America, which is very contradictory. So a lot of Americans think that their tax income, because tax rate is one of the highest in California, they have city tax, they have state tax, it is going towards immigration, and they do not like the idea. So they feel like leaving California as well. And this is also one of the reasons when Indians also cross US-Mexico border, the highest number of cases are in California, because when you go to California, in case anything happens to undocumented immigrants, they are more secure in California as compared to rest of America. But majority of the credit goes to the income that is from the taxpayers. Some of the Americans do not like it there. If you want to look at all the pro-immigration laws which are in California but not in America, they are endless. Number one, the California Values Act, which actually prevents you from getting detained by ICE. So iska main example batata hu. When I was actually at US-Mexico border, I didn't have my passport or visa. मैं सिर्फ visit के लिए जा रहा था. The US Border Patrol warned me. They said I'll have to pay $2,400 fine just not carrying passport or visa. But that is rare in California. If you are undocumented, no one has right to randomly ask you for your passport and visa if they do not have a warrant. And then there is the Truth Act, which is similar, and there is the Health for All Kids Act, which actually gives healthcare to kids under 19 years old, regardless of their immigration status and regardless of their income. And there is also the Safe and Responsible Drivers Act. So for example, if my visa expires, I was struggling to get my driver's license renewed. But in California, even if you are undocumented, you can easily get driver's license if you pass the test. But for me in Atlanta, I had to show my EAD card. It was expiring. They said, you cannot get your new license until I get my EAD card. It was very difficult. They were asking for so much evidence when I was trying to get my driver's license renewed in Atlanta, but it is easier in California. But even after all of these good laws for immigrants, a lot of Americans do not like the concept of their tax income going into these immigration-friendly laws and benefits for immigrants, and that's why they feel like to save on taxes, they leave California. Now here's the important question. Why I did not decide to live in California? I stayed there for 10 days. I had an option to work in California, to stay in California, to get a bigger salary. My salary could have increased by 10 to 20% if I moved to California. But I denied the offer. I did it because, first reason, the sunrise and sunset. I personally, when I was in Atlanta, I got used to seeing sun till 6 p.m. but sun sets at 5 p.m. there. You will say that 1 hour is not much of a big difference. आपको लगेगा कि ये बच्चा बोल रहा है. But I personally, when I saw completely dark at 5 p.m., it was a bit depressing. In India, it sets at 6 p.m. in my city. I was more used to it, and that's why I like the sun. Now, next about diversity. I personally love the diversity there, but reality is, even though I am able to make multiple friends there, but the reality is, if you want to make friends, chances of you making friends are lowest in California with diverse people. Let's say you are Indian or, Latin American or someone from, someone from Mexico. You will end up making more friends from your ethnicity and your culture because you find friends from there. If you want to make diverse friends, the chances of you making diverse friends are actually in the cities where there is less diversity. This is what data proves. But reality है कि आप कहीं पे भी जाओ आप दोस्त बना सकते हो. But reality ये भी है कि वहाँ पर most of the people who are, in the culture, वहाँ पर ऐसा होता है, Indians are more with Indians, Asians are more with Asians, Latin Americans are more with Latin Americans, and they are not able to, make diverse friends because they have option to keep their culture from their country. तो इस कारण वो intercultural friends ज़्यादा नहीं बनते, intracultural friends बनते हैं. And I have also proved it in this video according to the research why friendship is hard when you go to diverse states as compared to non-diverse states. तो ये आपको थोड़ा सा अपनी mentality change करनी पड़ेगी, and I was able to, but I'm just talking about the data. And my last decision of not living in California is again like other Americans, that I'm able to buy a house. I'm going to buy a house soon, and I can easily afford in Atlanta and create a real estate business as compared to California with just my middle class engineer's income. So that'll be my thoughts. Some predictions say that now more people will be going back to California as housing crisis is improving there. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below.